and welcome to 360 Gamercast, episode 171 for Tuesday, the 11th of July, 2023. I'm your host, Mark Webb, Gamertag, Pearson ID, Steam ID, Webby360G, and joining me on this very fine evening is...
Just me, Sensei Switch.
Just Webby and the Switch tonight. Nick has destroyed his laptop, so he will not be joining us tonight, unfortunately. Just a big apology to all the Patreons. As I did mention on the Patreon this week, over the weekend, we didn't. Alex, some stuff came up, so we couldn't record with us for the Nintendo handheld special. We're still trying to organise that. There's still no date on it, so we'll let you know when that's happening. So in the meantime, Darren, we need to think of another special to do for next week if we don't get hold of Alex. So
we'll have to brainstorm on it because there's obviously quite a few different bits and bobs you could do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's loads of stuff. So we shall brainstorm over the week. And in the meantime, I'm still trying to get hold of Alex. But it's all good, mate. It's all good. So I'm going to start off, though, Darren, talking about my new toy.
Fair enough.
Yes, so I caved, and I'm blaming Sly for this. I caved, and I purchased a Steam Deck. And I have to say, I'm very impressed. So I've been putting off buying one since it come out a year ago. I can't believe they've actually been out a year now. Purely because I don't really play a lot of handhelds. Just because I prefer to play, obviously, on my screen, on my PC, or one of my many consoles, you know. However, I have found, I don't know if it might just be that new toy thing, because I've only had it for just under a week, so we'll see how I progress with it in the coming months, if I still use it or not. However, I am very impressed with it. Pretty much every game that I've installed on it from my Steam library has worked flawlessly, which is pretty stunning, to be honest. For such a small, I mean, it's not small, but it's still a handheld at the end of the day. But what I like about it is it's got a really big screen, and it's quite a bulky piece of kit, but it feels just right to me, if that makes sense, because I'm getting older, I don't like these really small screens. Like I even find like a phone screen a bit small for gaming on. So, and I've got a huge phone as well, and like the screen on this is really good size, and I just the way that it works is just flawless. Just sign in with your Steam ID, and any game in your Steam library you can just install and play. And as I say, I've played quite a few games on it over the last few days. I've actually got 50 games installed on it. I'm not going to go through them all because we'll be here forever. But I just want to give a big shout out to Sly because he helped me out with the setup because there's some side loading stuff that you can do on it. It's just to personalise it a little bit, which is really cool, like changing the startup animation and stuff, which has been quite nice. And figuring out how to install non-Steam games as well. So basically I've been able to install Battle.net, EA, which is like the EA Origins. You can download EA games, GOG, Epic Games, Ubisoft Connect, and Xbox Game Pass. But the Game Pass is just streaming, but everything else is to download. So I'll just go through that very, very quickly first. So on Battle.net, I downloaded Diablo 4, and it works really, really well. Like there's no tinkering at all. You literally just launch the app, download the game, and then once it's installed, you just play it, and it works really, really well. Which for a modern game that's only been out for a couple of months, was quite surprised at how well it runs, to be honest. So yeah, that's just because those sort of games are quite nice to play on the sofa and stuff. So Very impressed with that, to be honest. So that's really really cool. Another positive is obviously because we have Xbox Game Pass. If you have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, you also get access to the EA Play. So what that means on PC is for EA Play, the basic one, you get all the basic stuff. So you know, last year's F1 game, and then after a year, like the new Need for Speed is now on there, and loads of games. All the games you expect on Xbox Game Pass from EA is also available on the PC app. So obviously you get your trials as well. So I thought I'd install the new Formula One game, F1 2023, and it works and really well as well. I was in shock because it looks decent. Obviously, you have to tweak the settings a little bit, put the one like medium, but it runs really well. So yeah, I was very impressed with that. Not installed anything from GOG, Epic, or Ubisoft yet, just because I haven't had the time. But as I say, for installing on the non-Steam games, I've been very impressed. The only thing that I'm a little bit annoyed at is you can't get the Xbox app to download the Xbox Game Pass games. You still need to do the cloud streaming. So I did try the cloud streaming out, and for the most part, it's pretty decent. But obviously, it's still not as good as running the games on your machine yourself, right? So, but still, this is a really good piece of kit. I mean, you think at the moment the Steam Deck is on sale. However, it's sold out, so I had to resort to getting it off eBay. But I got quite a good deal for it. But the top end, so this is the top end system with the biggest hard drive and the anti glare glass and all that, and that's actually down to £455 on Steam at the minute. So I think for such a good piece of kit, that's it's like a Switch, isn't it? You think how much the Switch is, right? Um, for a little bit more than a Nintendo Switch, you're getting a really good piece of technology here. So I'm blown away. And for someone like me that has a really huge Steam library already, I've got over 700 games in my Steam library. It's kind of a no-brainer. It's just given me an excuse to play those smaller games that I maybe just don't play when I'm sitting at my PC, if that makes sense. So, um, but one of the other surprises, Darren, as I know I mentioned it to you the other day because you saw me online, I installed Final Fantasy 14 onto the Steam Deck. Now, I know the game is 10 years old this year. However, MMOs you wouldn't really think of playing on a handheld device. I installed it and it runs really well. I'm really shocked. And it was it's one of those things, mate. I was sitting on the sofa on the weekend just exploring the world in Final Fantasy 14 just with this big smile on my face because I was, I wasn't having to like be stuck to my PC desk to play it. I could just sit on the sofa, feet up, and you know do dungeon. I did a few dungeon runs, because I set up the control scheme exactly like how you play it on the PlayStation, right? Because the game's designed for controllers as well, works really well, and um, yeah, fucking amazing, mate. So yeah, really, really impressed with this piece of kit, to be honest. So um, that's probably some of the biggest games I've played on it. It has got me back into playing Fallout Vegas again because remember when it came out on the 360 all those years ago. I kind of remember rushing through it a little bit. And it's one of the best Fallout games, so I've been playing that quite a lot over the last couple of days. And I think because it's on that smaller screen, look, it just looks nice, and because it's such an old game, it runs really well anyway. But just having a lot of fun exploring that world again. But certainly it's not a device for just the older games because, as I've mentioned, I've been playing quite a lot of the newer games on it. There is a little bit of a letdown on it. Like I was thinking to myself, oh, I'll be able to play Call of Duty on it because I've got it on Steam. However, I can't because because the game is designed for Windows, so the Steam Deck runs on Linux. Because of some of these online games, they use a certain anti-cheat software. It's not compatible with Linux, so you can't actually play Call of Duty on the Steam Deck, unfortunately. So that was a little bit disappointing, but not the end of the world. So you know, it's still good. I have been looking online. It is a good MMO device because like people have been playing like Lost Ark and New World and stuff like that on the deck with no problem. Um, yeah, it's a really cool piece of kit. Like I would say, if you have Steam already and a lot of games, then it's definitely worth it. If you don't, if you're not already in the PC ecosystem, I think it's a little bit more of a hard sell, purely because you're going to have to be spending more money to actually buy games as well, um, to put on the device. I mean, Steam's doing a really good sale at the minute. Steam sale, they always do a summer sale, so games are really cheap at the minute, but still, you're spending money on games. So there is that other cost there. But as I say, if you're already on that ecosystem, then yeah, it's really good because you've already got a massive library of games to play. So
What's the drive size anyway?
so there comes in so there's three different versions. So I would recommend getting the biggest version, which is 512 gig. It
Oh,
also
well,
has
that's
an
still not that big, is it? Really?
no. So but the reason I say get that is because you can put a micro SD card into it as well.
Right.
So I've got the 512 gig version of Steam Deck plus a 512 gig SD card. So I've got a terabyte of storage, which um, as I say, I've got 50 games installed, and I'll just have a quick look at my storage. I've got 300 or 260 gig free, so still room for more. So that's not too bad, mate, to be honest.
No.
So
Obviously for a handheld thing, but yeah, if that
yeah,
was a games console, you're like, oh sweet, I can fit like 7 games on it.
yeah. But this is why I say get the 512 version because they sell a 64 gig version, which
Wow.
is fucking pointless. Yeah, so
You'd be able to
basically,
fit like 1 game on there
well, that
sometimes.
64 gig one, I mean, usable storage, you're going to get less than that anyway, but you're going to just have to put all your games on an SD card.
Mm.
There is videos online where people have changed out the NVMe drive inside of the deck, but it's a lot of fucking around and it voids your warranty. So unless you know what you're doing, I wouldn't recommend it. So um, yeah, the 512. I mean, the Steam sale's great in a minute because, as I say, the 512 is 455 at the minute, but then after the sale, it's going back up to 570 quid. So it's definitely a really good discount on there at the moment. So, however, it's sold out. So, I think it went on sale, and within a couple of hours, they'd sold out
What's
because
the competitor device that's sort of like
the
out?
ROG Ally. So
Or is
yeah,
that it?
so there's another device called the ROG Ally that came out about a month or two ago. That's £700,
More
and
expensive?
it purely runs on Windows 11, and it has a 1080p screen, whereas the Steam Deck has an 800p screen. But I mean, I was looking into the ROG Ally. Obviously, it's a lot more money than the Steam Deck, so I wouldn't have bought one anyway. But it's apparently a lot of people having issues with it because obviously it runs on Windows. It's basically a mini PC. Just people have issues with it. But the positive is you could download your Xbox app and play your Game Pass games natively, downloadable to it, right? So it has its pros and cons. But I just went for the Steam Deck purely because it was cheaper, a lot cheaper.
And you knew
And
it would do as what it said on the tin, basically.
yeah, 100%, mate. And it's just it's just cool because I mean, obviously I have got two Nintendo Switches. I do play them every now and again. However, they're just quite dated now. I mean, I just saw online today that the Switch is 7 years old this year. Time does fly. I can't believe it. Um, so this is just a lot more a newer piece of tech, a nicer screen, and more modern games, and you can emulate all your old games and even Switch games on it if you want anyway. So, um, yeah, I mean, it's a great piece of kit to be honest, and I've been playing as I say, I played quite a few games on it that I've mentioned. Um, Street Fighter 6 is another game that come out only a few months ago. I put that on the deck and it runs amazing as well. So that's another thing. So I've been playing modern games and older, but it's given me a good excuse to go back and play those older games as well that I haven't either finished or started. So yeah, it's really really good. So and I'm going to be talking about more of the games we've been playing on it as we go through the podcast. But I just want to give a shout out to one game that I downloaded ages ago, um, called Horizon Chase Turbo. So this is a racing game, kind of like the like remember the old like kind of arcade racers.
You're gonna say Chase HQ?
No, you remember like all those older I like Daytona-ish style. No, I'll go back to remember like Super Hang On, that kind of style with the road, how it moves and it goes from night to day and all that sort of stuff. Like the art, like the graphical style and that. A little bit like Outrun, I could probably compare it to. Yeah. Anyway, so I got this. I got Horizon Chase Turbo yonks ago, and then I played it for a little bit, and then I was just like, oh, can't be asked. However, I thought, oh, I'll give it a download on the deck over the weekend. I was watching the F1 and I fancy playing a racing game, and I was like, I'm loving it. So it's got loads of different modes. It's got DLCs as well, which I bought because they're only £1 or £2 each. So they've got a mode called Summer Vibes, which is basically Outrun. It's in like this red Ferrari type car, and there's a man and a lady driving it, right? And it goes from like day to night, and it just looks gorgeous. But the other mode that I'm really liking the other campaign is called Senna Forever. So it's all of the history of Senna, and you play like through a campaign in his old F1 cars. It's fucking awesome, and it's just in this really cool old school art style. It's really arcadey. You pick up, your boost as you're driving around and your coins. And it's just a fun little game. I'm not sure if it's on console. I hope it is, because I'm gonna just check actually. Just give me a second, because like it's such a little gem. It really is, and I think if you like little racing games and stuff. Oh, hang on a minute. I think I see it's on Xbox. Oh my god, my internet's running really slow for some reason. Ask my browser. I've got my VPN on. I believe. Yes, Horizon Chase Turbo is on Xbox. Oh bloody hell! It's more expensive on Xbox than PC though. £16 on Xbox. But the Summer Vibes DLC on the Xbox is £1.69, and the Senna Forever add-on is £4.99. So okay, but anyway, if you love your little racing games, check it out. I mean, it looks like the sort of game that would be perfect on Game Pass, but obviously it isn't. But I think it's cool. So if you like your racing games, you like your arcade races and those old school styles, check out Horizon Chase Turbo, because it is just so much fun. It really, really is. Like all the different game modes, you can play the different tracks, and just that old arcade fun times. So I just wanted to give that game a shout out because it is Really, really fun. Yeah. Anyway, I've talked enough, Darren. You got any other questions on the Steam Deck, or do you want to move on?
Oh no, it's obviously not something I'm interested in.
No. I mean, it would be
Personally,
perfect for
but
your night shifts, mate. For
it
play,
would, but I'm not buying digital games.
No, no. Shame. Anyway, I'll let you talk for a bit.
Are you sure you really want to?
Tell me what you've been playing. I mean, you've been playing a few games, mate.
Well, yeah, mainly the usual ones.
Go on,
Like nothing per
go
se of
for it.
new.
You've not been playing any Final
Um,
Fantasy 16, no?
I haven't touched it for
What?
2 weeks. For two
Oh
weeks, I've
my
been busy
god.
with all these other games at the moment. Have got these shitty battle pass and other crap going on at the moment. So it's like I'm trying to play those, and obviously, 16 is a classic old game that you can just pick up whenever you want.
Yeah.
You're kind of not forced to do it to do events within certain time limits and all that crap. So I'll talk about one of the games that had one of those. So Street Fighter 6 has had. It's now on its second battle pass
Oh, already?
content
Bloody hell, it's
for
not
it.
even been out
Yeah,
that long.
exactly. It's a bit fucking shite for that. I thought they were gonna do like one every like 4 months or something, but it seems to
Hmm.
be they're doing one every month, and they literally last for just over 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So you've literally just got 2 weeks to get it all done. And it blatantly states like any rewards earned like need to be claimed before the period ends, otherwise they're forfeit and
Wow.
you won't be able to get them again. So it's this whole modern gaming fucking FOMO shite
Well,
that
you
I'm
fall
starting
for it,
to
mate.
absolutely hate. Well, yeah, it's either that or just don't buy the game outright.
Mm,
Which at some point, when everything goes digital, I won't be doing anyway. So I win, I guess, in that regard. So
fair
yeah,
enough.
just
Yeah.
basically been cracking through stuff on Street Fighter 6. Uh, Cracks are starting to show in that game. Like I do really like it, and it's great. It's well presented. The new characters are good. The gimmicky stuff in it, I've never been a fan of. The best one they had was the parry system in Street Fighter 3. Everything past that doesn't come close.
Okay.
Um, and I don't know how much of it you've played, but have you like
Not a
actually
lot.
been like grabbed out of your super moves and complete shite like that?
No, I've literally only done
Yeah,
like the arcade mode, and
get
that's
ready
it.
for that crap to happen.
Oh no.
So it's just certain things just start to get a bit irritating. We just like no, you shouldn't be able to do that. I mean, I can still remember the days of like the original one. I remember, if I recall. Do you remember Akuma's shadow move?
Vaguely,
Used to be
yes.
like the
Yeah.
old like light punch forward,
Mhm.
hard kick, and he'd do the thing across. If you were
Yeah.
skillful enough or you knew enough, you could kneel down and light punch someone out of that move.
Oh right. That's a bit shit, isn't it?
So it just seems like the thing that's most annoying is it takes you almost 2 full rounds to build up enough super to actually do your best move.
Ah, yeah.
And
Okay.
like when someone just taps or fucking grabs you out of it, you're like, really, mate? What a fucking waste of time.
Yeah.
And I will say, always if you can use a fight stick, because trying to do your moves with the actual PS5 controller on that game is horrendously bad.
Oh.
Like it really does not want to register what you're putting in off the time. So you sort of get your special up, and you're like, do the special. Don't worry about it then. Don't worry about it then.
Fair enough.
Which isn't an issue with King of Fighters. Like I've never had an issue with that, like performing the super moves, but for some reason in Street Fighter, I will say like the spinning pile driver is really simple to use
Okay.
on it. But yeah, at the moment they're doing the battle pass that ties in with Rashid, who's their upcoming first DLC character, who, in my opinion, is coming a little bit close to when the game came out. So maybe they could have been in the actual game. to start off with, rather than being a DLC.
Yeah.
But you can guarantee they're going to drip feed characters every couple of months to keep everyone interested and involved in the game, because you can't put out a fighting game anymore and just have it be that. You've got to constantly keep throwing bones to people to keep people playing it or invested. The player counts already look like they've kind of dropped a little bit in the online lobby area when you're running around.
Oh, that's a shame.
You still see a few people milling about in there, but not as many as there were when the game first came out. But then there was probably a lot of people going in there to just get those achievements or trophies or challenges done for looking at certain things in the battle hub. I think when you do get the season pass little things that they chuck in, you do get extra challenges.
Okay.
But again, most of them are all battle hub online focused. And from what I last played of the game, like 50% of the player base has never even played an online match. Because not everyone is interested in playing online games.
Yeah.
They just like playing the game and that's that, or playing it couch co-op, or couch where there's less likely to be any sort of issues with lag or things like that. Although there are stuff in play to obviously show you what people's connections and stuff are like before you go into games. That's been around since the 360, to be honest.
Do you play it online match, or you're not really that fussed?
Haven't touched it, mate.
Oh wow.
That side of it has never really interested me. Like, I used to play fighting games a lot when I'd go around people's houses and like when you sat next to people and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
360, I kind of did it a little bit, but it was literally for trophies. I didn't care. Like, I was literally only just doing it to get trophies.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest.
Fair enough, mate.
So yeah, still a great game. Like, I think it's in sales at the moment. You can pick it up like for around £40 odd. I think 40, 45, which is still cheaper than obviously what it was when it first
I do
came
need to
out.
get on it and play it more. Just haven't really been playing it at all, and I've had it for nearly a month now, and I don't know. I think I've played it for about an hour. So yeah.
But yeah, they kind of did it with Street Fighter before, with Street Fighter 5, which in my opinion is Street Fighter 5 was the poster child of how to not do anything in a fighting game ever.
Yeah.
That literally was just like an exploded boil of disgusting shite, that game.
Yeah.
And that had all of like the daily logins and weekly challenges and all of that kind of stuff. And again, it was all far too concentrated on the online aspect of it that not everyone wants to do.
Yeah.
And like the challenges and stuff you'll get for like the single player and whatnot, you'll get like one a month.
Oh, bloody hell.
Whereas like all the online stuff, you'll get one a day.
Oh dear.
So it's like maybe mix it up a little bit. Do a week of certain mode, do a week of another mode, do that, mix it up. Like sate your player base. Don't just cater towards one lot of people, because I get what you're doing. You're trying to cater to sort of like more of the hardcore, but then at the end of the day, by doing that, you're going to slowly but surely lose all the others over time, and they'll only literally come back to the game when a new character comes out or whatever. Muck around with them for a little bit and then job done. I'm quite interested to see how they actually implement the new characters that are coming out in the season pass into the story mode, if they actually do that. Because in the story mode, you meet up with each of the characters and you basically study under them and they teach you their moves. And you can actually have your character decked out quite interesting. So the more masters you have, the more moves and stuff you have access to. So you could have a character with like Chun-Li's spinning bird kick, does the dragon punch, does Kami's like backward circle, downward kick, Dhalsim's teleport, all on the same set of character. and you can have like multiple people's different supers as well, depending on what you
Oh, that's
want.
pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah, it's just something a bit
Yeah,
different,
and you
isn't it?
can
Yeah.
fight online with those, with the character with those kind of makeup, sort of
Really?
weird moves
That's
as well. Yeah,
fucking weird, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean they have opened it up nicely. It's going to be interesting to see what other fighting games do, whether they do try and go down more of a user-friendly route. I don't know.
Hmm.
But as far as I know, the game's done pretty well. There was a thing saying that they've sold 2 million copies, which isn't bad. Because obviously, certain people out there will be like, "Oh, it's not great," but generally, fighting games don't sell a lot.
Yeah.
They used to back in the day, because they were like the bread and butter, and fighting games were the things to pretty much show off your new graphics, etc. Hence, like, obviously, the Virtua Fighters and the Tekkens of the time.
Yeah.
And even things like Toshinden when that came out on the PS1, showcasing what the system could do, etc. But because arcades aren't really a thing anymore, the fighting game genre has disappeared more into like a downloadable realm, like a lot of
Yeah.
the other games we used to love have. It's only
Yeah.
really the big franchises that seem to come out with like actual published releases and such now, like your Tekkens,
Yeah.
your Street Fighters, Soul Calibur, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, we'll move on to something else.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about Final Fantasy 16. Not for too long because I don't want to spoil it for people. However, I actually completed it now, which people will be like, "What? That's only been out a few weeks," but I, I was enjoying it so much. It was literally like all I could think about, and so every spare minute I had, I was playing it. So playtime was about 54 hours according to my PlayStation, which wasn't too bad. The Final Fantasy games aren't really known, like the single player ones aren't really known for being like these 100-hour games. If you think back to 7, I think that you could do most of that in like 35 to 40 hours anyway.
All right.
Um, However, this is different to those old school ones because it's not one massive open world. It's, as I mentioned in the last episode we did, it's kind of like Final Fantasy 14, where there is open world areas, but you like click on the map and you go to that area, which I think works quite well. Um, I did every single side quest in the game, and I did every single hunt as well. So it's not like I rushed through the game. I literally did everything I could, and I loved it. Like the hunts, are a complete rip off from Final Fantasy 14. There's a hunt board. It tells you where they are, and you have to actually go and find them yourself. They don't come up on the map. However, I cheated and looked at a guide on where they were because I didn't want to fanny around. That's probably why I completed the game a bit quicker than what I probably should have done, because I've seen on some forums that people have spent hours searching for these fuckers, and they are in quite obscure places on the map. So, yeah, I couldn't be asked for that. I just was like, right, I'm going online, I'm looking at a guide of where these fuckers are, and I'm going to go and beat them. Some of them you cannot beat when they come up on the board. So it's like in 14 where they're ranked. You got like your B, your A, and your S ranks.
Yeah.
You, mate, I fought one S rank, man, and he killed me in like 2 hits. I had to wait until near enough before the end of the game before trying him again. And like a little tip I'll give you is, like in certain points of the game, you get companions. So I would wait until you've got 2 companions with you before going and fighting some of these hunts, because obviously they help you in the battle. So
Yeah.
that's a little top tip from Webby there. Yeah, and that helped a lot. So there's that. The side missions, they get really good. So obviously, when like the first few you get in the game, you're thinking, "What the fuck is this shit?" I'm like a glorified fucking Deliveroo driver. I'm just delivering people fucking food and shit. But it's just a kind of a precursor. It gets a lot better. Like there are, I would say, a lot of the side missions you need to do to understand the story a lot more with some of the characters, because you learn a lot about certain characters by doing these side missions. They are so rewarding. in story content. It's unbelievable. There's also these other side missions, and they have like a little plus sign on them on the map, and you really need to do those because they'll give you stuff like improve your health potions, like all your health potions you have. It heals you more, if that makes sense. So it gives you more
Yeah.
health each one. And then there's other ones. There's one that you need to do if you want the best weapon in the game. So I'm not going to spoil it any more than that. But if you want some really good swords, do these other side missions, which I'm not going to say anymore. And to get the materials, when I just found this out by playing the game, I didn't look at any guides or anything. So you unlock a recipe for this ultimate amazing sword, but you don't know where to get the materials from. So top tip from me is do the hunts, and you might be pleasantly surprised at the materials you get.
Right.
So
It's not going to be one of those things where it's like to get like the best weapon in the game, you've got to beat like the hardest enemies, and then by the time you don't actually need the fucking sword.
no, because I had it before. I finished the game before the final boss, and that final boss battle is a bitch. So you need all the help you can get. But it's such a good game, and I can see where some people have given it some negative commentary in some regard, especially if you're not used to a Final Fantasy game, because the game is very cutscene heavy, and at times it is like you're watching a movie. I will admit that. However, as someone who's played pretty much every single Final Fantasy game that's ever come out, I'm used to that in the Final Fantasy games. That's what I expect in those games.
See, this is the thing. Like, you'll get people that moan about like cutscene. Oh, there's a cutscene. And be like, right, back in the day, you would still have those cutscenes, except you would just be sitting there watching two sprites and pushing X to go through walls and walls and walls of text and exposition.
Yep.
Now they actually physically show you it in moving form with characters speaking, etc. Oh, there's too many cutscenes.
Yeah,
like
it's
basically the evolution of what that is.
Yeah.
And certain games, I mean, that game is presented as a action sort of interactive story type game anyway. Like that was the whole thing they were going for, and I never felt like I was betrayed or thought it was going to be anything other than what it is.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I love it. It's set. I mean, I like the cutscenes because it's like it's story, and that's one of the things that pushes you through these games. Is you want to know what's happening next, what's happening with this character, what's happening with this baddie, all these things. It's just so fucking good, man. Like it's all the characters are done so well. Like from the voice acting, I mean, the voice acting's amazing. I just give it that, right? But it's just how the characters interact, the story that they present on everything, the characters is just fantastic. I mean, it is, as I say, it is a little bit of a departure from traditional Final Fantasy games where there's not one open world you're exploring. The combat system's completely different to the older games. However, the franchise has been evolving over the last 10 years. You look at the combat in 15, in 13, in 12, the combat hasn't been true turn-based for many years now. And
not since 10, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like 10 was the last actual Final Fantasy that felt turn-based.
Yeah.
People will say 13 was turn-based, but literally only having control over one character is not turn-based, and it was a fucking awful system as well, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like the combat in 16. I mean, some people, I've seen some comments, oh, you just got to press X, but I'm like, well, take off the fucking ability helper.
Yeah, take jewelry off the noob rings. I did see someone moaning about that. Someone was like, oh, I told you this was going to happen. You can complete game now by just pushing the button. And it's like, they're options for people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you don't have to use them.
Yep.
And to be honest, the only people I see having an issue with people like that are like the type of people that are like, I completed Dark Souls and my eyes sewn shut and a fucking hammer stapled to my nutsack. Eat that, fucking plebs. And like most everyone else, I don't care, mate.
Yeah,
I couldn't care
I
less.
think it's good because it's giving people more choice, and it's making games accessible to more people. So I think that's
Definitely, yeah.
that's only a good
It's
thing at the end of the day.
mm,
You know, you've got options. You know, you could play it on super easy mode with all the rings attached and all that, and play it as pressing X. Just, I don't, you know, and if people want to do that, good for you, mate. You know, if you're having fun, who gives a shit? But then the options there
at
to,
the end of the
yeah,
day, I'm under the impression that everyone should be able to enjoy something and
yep,
have fun
100%.
from it.
Yep. You know, we might take the piss out of people playing games on phones and shit, but still, if you're having fun, mate, it don't matter. You know.
No.
Um, but yeah, the options are there. You could put it on hard mode. You can put it on. You can take the rings off, and it, you know, you take those helper rings off, and it does make it a lot more challenging because you've got to time your dodges and your blocks and your moves, and it just makes like a proper action game. It's really fun. So,
And at the
you
end
know,
of the day, I don't blame the companies for doing it either, because
no,
you're opening your game up to a bigger audience.
yep, you're gonna just sell more games, aren't you? So, yeah, it's all good.
But I know that what will be a bridge too far is when they start adding stuff like that to like a Souls like that. That'd be like someone's committed the holiest of
Oh,
sins.
it won't happen on a Souls game, though, will it?
Not on an actual official Souls game, but I'm just thinking of one like another company's made.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I absolutely loved Final Fantasy 16. I came away from it with just my jaw on the floor, just like, wow, this was just such an epic experience. So far, it is easily the best game I've played this year. It's gonna
Nice.
like I was saying last week to a few people, you know, that I think Starfield's going to have to be pretty special to knock this off the top of the list for me by the end of the year. Um, not from a technical switch or anything, like just the emotion side of it. Like I felt really attached to the characters, and I just enjoyed just my journey through the game.
See, yeah, in theory, they're both going to be quite different, aren't they?
Yeah,
One's
yeah, of
like a
course.
narrative story-based game that's laid out before you, and the other
Hmm.
one is a build-your-own adventure space
Yeah, of course.
exploration game.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But I just it like because like when before the game came out, there was comparisons to Game of Thrones for 16, and I can seriously see where those comparisons are drawn from. And I was a big fan of Game of Thrones, so like it's definitely the most mature Final Fantasy game that they've ever made. Um, just with things that happen, if you compare them to Game of Thrones, obviously I'm not going to say any more than that. Um, But yeah, it's a fantastic game, and I think you know everyone should give it a go. I think even non Final Fantasy games or gamers will probably enjoy this as well. So yeah,
Well,
fantastic
that
game.
was one of their things, wasn't it? By making it like this, they hoped to try and get other people who may not like a traditional Japanese styled role playing title to try something out that's a bit different and maybe get them into more of into the series. And I have actually
Yeah,
seen quite a few people on Twitter that have said played 16, really enjoyed it. Oh dear, look at this, and like they're installing Final Fantasy 14.
wow.
Um,
Yeah,
because they
yeah,
know that it's made by the same sort of
there's a lot of
team.
similarities. Hell of a lot of similarities. I mean, you know, I finished 16, and a couple of days later, I resubscribed to 14 again. There's more story content to do that I've seen anyway in update, and obviously as I talked about earlier, I can play it on the Steam Deck as well. So um, yeah, enjoying being back into 14 again at the minute. I'll probably only be on it for about a month, do all the story stuff, and unsubscribe again as I usually do. But yeah, loving it, loving 16, mate. It's fantastic. So,
I
anyway, that's
wish
enough. That's enough Final Fantasy for one episode.
everyone's like, yeah,
Yeah.
heard about it all before.
Mhm.
Right, I'll go on to the other game that I've obviously been sinking a fair bit into because the season is starting very soon,
Yeah.
and I'm still like really far behind. So you can probably guess that it's Diablo 4.
Oh yes. You finished the campaign on that, right? Did you say?
I've finished Act 1.
Oh my god. Get back on it,
Finished
mate.
Act 1.
Oh.
Um, well, it's kind of one of those things where I have more fun exploring the open world than actually doing the story and dungeons
Oh wow. Okay. Fair enough.
because of the way that it's kind of set out. I still really like the game. I absolutely adore the way that every single piece of loot that generally drops that's legendary is tied to an ability I don't fucking have. I think that's really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Hello. Yeah.
um, yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah. Go on.
And like I said before, I despise the level scaling thing to the game that, for my opinion, doesn't make any sense considering there are certain areas of the map that have level requirements on them.
Mm-hmm.
So why not just keep to that? Uh, yeah, it's really good. Like I still kind of like the story. I like the way your character's used in the cutscenes. Um, and all those kind of bits. But when I was reading up on the stuff for the seasons, so all the things that will carry over between the seasons are apparently things like the statues of Lilith, etc.
Yeah.
So that's what I've generally been doing. I've been going around the maps, uncovering the zones, and trying to find all the different statues.
Yeah.
I almost shot a rod through my pants when I found out some of those statues of Lilith are in PvP zones, which I never want to set foot in. I
Mm.
was ecstatic when I found that out because I was like, hold on,
Excellent.
this map says this. Oh, great, nice one, Blizzard, you cunts. I've also had a couple that have given me Paragon points that obviously are useless because I'm not level 50
Oh
and haven't
yeah.
finished the game yet
Well,
or
they'll be there
whatever.
ready. They'll be there ready for
Uh,
you, mate. I guess.
oh yeah, true. Then again, I preferred the Paragon system from 3, as did I prefer the gameplay from 3, in my opinion. It's still one of those things where I was trying to explain it to a guy at work, and he sort of said like, "Oh, it sounds like you really don't like the game compared to 3." And I said, "No, it's still great." And I said, "It still has that Diablo grip of
Mm.
like the loot and all those bits and bobs." But I said it just feels so constricted in comparison to the last game.
You reckon?
Yeah, well, I literally have on my character 3 moves, 2 of
Yeah.
which are on cooldown. So I kind of use the moves. Fair enough, I've got certain moves that, like, if they hit the enemy, it doesn't go into cooldown as long as it makes contact or kills an enemy and stuff. But you get stupid, annoying enemies that just jink out of the way or dodge backwards or something, and then your hit misses, and then you're just going on one button over and over and over on one enemy just to, like, slowly bludgeon it to death, and that doesn't feel entertaining or enjoyable.
Fair enough. I mean, I think with the new season, I mean, you said that like the stuff carries over, like the Lilith statues and that. I mean, I've not even found them all yet because I came off the game when
Yeah.
16 came
Oh,
out.
I'm still way off. I've only
Yeah,
done, I think, most of them in the first area. I obviously can't get to any of them in the strongholds
yeah.
because the strongholds seem like you're forced into doing group up content to do those or something.
Mm,
Because when I first saw one, I was like, "Oh right, that's 2 levels above me." And then it's a constant moving goalpost. So when you level up, it just always stays above you level wise.
all right. Oh, I didn't even realise that.
Yeah, so they're always a higher level than you are.
Oh.
Maybe it doesn't when you hit level 50. But then again, they might be like level 52 or something by the time you hit 50. Wouldn't surprise me, to be honest.
Yeah, this new
But yeah,
season's out soon, isn't it? I think there's going to be a new
yes.
character class as well.
No, there isn't. They
Oh,
announced the new character class for Diablo, and I was like, oh. And then I looked, and it was for Diablo Immortal,
oh, is it?
like the
Oh,
mobile game. Yeah,
that's
something like the
quite good
Blood Knight or
actually.
something weird.
Yeah. Oh, right, it's actually quite good Immortal, to be fair.
So, like, to be honest, it's not even really worth giving a shit about your gear, as far as I'm aware, until you
Hmm.
hit like 50 plus,
Yeah.
because then you're constantly getting the same sort of gear drops. But I don't know. I'm still having fun with it and everything. It's just nowhere near as enjoyable as I found Diablo 3
Do you
was.
think though it's because you played Diablo 3 a lot in co-op?
No, I'd
No.
never played Diablo 3 in co-op ever.
Oh, I thought you did.
Actually,
Oh,
tell a
okay.
lie. I tell a lie. I played it with my mate on couch co-op sort of a thing for a bit, but
Right.
when I went
Yeah.
through the game myself, I just went through completely like on my
Mm.
own.
Oh. I've had a lot of fun on 4 in co-op with some of the guys in the community. Obviously, because it's cross-play, it makes it a lot better. So PC, PlayStation, Xbox, we've all been playing together.
Oh yeah, 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 that's fantastic. Yeah,
You know, uh, that's made it really enjoyable for me. I see quite a few people in the Discord are still playing it and having fun, as well. So, but I've kind of like thought to myself, I'm gonna hang back until the new season because obviously, it's just you got to make a new character for the season, haven't you? So, it
yeah.
just seems a bit pointless. Even though I should really just jump in and find the Lilith statues because I only got about 4 or 5. So,
Oh
uh,
wow. Yeah,
yeah,
they
there's a
give
lot to get.
obviously you permanent like stat boosts to your strength, willpower,
Yeah,
and dexterity and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, those stats are only generally good for certain classes, depending on what you're
yeah,
playing.
yeah. So yeah, definitely need to get back on it.
Graphically, it's still it's great. Like
It's lovely, isn't it? Yeah,
it is such an upgrade from the third one, and I thought the third one looked great anyway for
yeah,
when it came out. But it's only when you go back and look at the third one and you think, oh, that actually does look a little bit dated. It's looking a little bit wowish, if
yeah.
that
I know what
makes
you
any
mean.
sense.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, the animations and things they use as well are pretty
yeah,
cool. Like
yeah,
when you like hew something in half and the body just like spews in like certain directions.
yeah,
So yeah, Diablo 4, great game. Again, it's another quality title we've had this year.
yeah. I haven't played
It's
all the
another
good
one of
games
those
yet.
years where I think everything like I feel like this year's gone by really quickly.
Yes, yeah,
And then someone tells me Forspoken came out this year, and I'm like, fuck off.
yeah. It did like February, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like January, February. It
yeah,
feels like it came out well over a year ago.
yeah. Well, it's because it looks so
Like,
fucking shit. They couldn't even give that away for free. I tell you, fucking load of shite that game.
some people liked it and enjoyed it. Although I did hear something kind of slightly depressing, whether or not it's true or not. Apparently, the rumours is Capcom are going ahead with a remake of RE5.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
And yeah, the girl from Forspoken is apparently going to be the Sheva character model,
Oh right, okay.
and I'm kind of like, that's a fucking downgrade. I
Yeah.
know that sounds horrible,
I know what
but
you mean. Yeah.
like, because Sheva was based on a real person anyway,
Right.
like
Yeah.
from back in the day. So maybe at least if they do it, we'll get to hear all of the publications screech again about the fact that you dare be shooting people of colour or whatever it is in Africa.
Oh God. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
But yeah, I
Oh,
don't know whether they should remake 5. I think it's perfectly fine. I think 5 and 6 you can skip those.
yeah, they're not the
I'd rather
classics as
get
the
an
other ones, are they?
yeah. 0 would be an interesting one to do because
Hmm.
I'm not too sure if they actually brought 0 out on any other um, things apart from like the GameCube.
Wasn't it? I'm sure I've got it on Steam.
Oh, it's Steam. It probably
Yeah,
would
I've
have
got it on
appeared on.
Steam. Yeah.
So it might have got a bit of a remake. Yeah, it did get. I think it did get a remake sort of thing around when they did like the original remake. So yeah, yeah, PS4, GameCube, Switch, Wii, yeah, it's on basically everything. But yeah, remake Zero or remake RE1, like
What
the
about
very
Code
first Resident
Veronica?
Evil.
Code Veronica always remember being
See,
pretty good.
I after 6, Veronica was my least favourite out of the whole series. I never even finished it.
Oh wow.
Like I got to the last half of the game, and now I know a lot of people love it.
Mhm.
There's certain things in Code Veronica where games journalists would be like, yeah,
Mm.
nowadays with a certain character.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it just never really hit for me. Like I think the reason I was drawn to it and I enjoyed it back when it came out originally was because it was like one of the first games that sort of upgraded the graphics engine. We'll say,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
like it moved on from where it was with obviously the RE1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
So yeah,
I'm gonna spend
back to you.
not long on me on this one.
All
Um,
right, fair enough.
Obviously because I finished um Final Fantasy, trying to catch up on a bit of Call of Duty on the Battle Pass. Because obviously I bought the Battle Pass again with the 20 tier skips, and I'm only at like 60% complete on the Battle Pass, whereas everyone else I know has actually completed the Battle Pass already. I've just been neglecting it for other games, so I've been playing it quite a lot the last couple of days, just with Gavin and Venom, just to try and, well, just to, obviously to have fun, because um, it's like for you, I guess, with Fortnite, Darren. You know, you have your group of mates you play it with, right? I've got my little group of mates I play COD with,
Yeah,
and it's literally, well, not literally, it's pretty much the only multiplayer gaming I get these days. To be honest, I mean, I'll get onto a racing game that I played online this week in a bit, but it's the same group of people. There just seems to be like a small group of us that are willing to jump online a few evenings a week and game together. Whereas, like, you know, it's a little bit disheartening. When I go on the Discord, I'm like, oh, let's all jump on, I don't know, Street Fighter or Call of Duty, or I even suggested Among Us the other day because it's free and it's a good laugh, and no one's interested. So I think it's just because we're all old and boring now. So
it's also due to the fact that a lot of us have got families. The
yeah,
weather's been shit, so people might not actually
yeah,
want a
I know,
game or
yeah,
feel the
yeah,
need to game. They'd rather lay on the floor perspirating instead.
yeah. No, I feel them. I feel those people, but it would be nice if people would reach out and be like, "Oh, maybe I fancy playing this with you or whatever." It'd be super cool. But I know those days of being young and wild and free are long behind most of us, unfortunately. But you know, cool Call of Duty for me is kind of my, because there's a few of us that are playing it. About 4, 5, or 6 of us. I mean, usually it's just me, Venom, and Laffer, and then Gavin joins us on the weekend because he works permanent nights. So obviously can't come on during the week. We have a good time on it. It's a good laugh, and it's just my way of unwinding. At my old age, is still gaming online with my mates, and it's just I'm really thankful that those guys all come on and we all have a good time. So COD's kind of that game. Still playing the normal multiplayer, which is fantastic. I think they're adding another map or two in a week or two, which is cool. We're playing the DMZ, which is fantastic. And I don't really play much Warzone these days, mainly just the DMZ and the multiplayer, which the DMZ mode I think is very underrated. It is a lot of fun, and I think is more rewarding than playing Warzone, to be honest. And that's just my opinion. I know a lot of people disagree, but it is vastly superior. And the normal multiplayer, obviously, you need to own the game to play the multiplayer, because that's a lot behind buying the actual game. Whereas Warzone and DMZ are the free to play things, right? So, yeah, absolutely fantastic game. Still, it's probably, I would say, after you remember like COD 4 back in 2007, I think it came out. I think,
What?
yeah, I know.
15 years ago.
I know. This, I think after that, this is my second. I think this has got to be my second most played COD. Like after 4, I think I've played it for over 300 hours now. Which for me to stick to one game for that amount of time is a bit of a miracle, to be honest. Because usually, I like to chop and change and that, but I've stuck to this and loving it, mate. It's just fantastic. It's just so much to do on it, because I say, because of that variety with DMZ, Warzone, and the normal multiplayer, and obviously all the different multiplayer modes. You've got your party game modes and all that as well. You can just change it up as much as you want. It just makes for such a fun multiplayer game with mates. So yeah, that's me on that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, obviously, Fortnite, basically, just doing current Battle Pass stuff. Finished that tonight. Fantasy Star, new Genesis, which I can't remember if I mentioned this, but the game went through like a weird, like, rejig.
Yes.
So it's now called Fantasy Star New Genesis version 2.
Oh right.
And
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
game now has the option where you can play it in like a weird cel-shaded look.
Oh, that's quite cool.
And also it ditched 40 plus something gig from my hard drive
Oh
when
wow.
it did the update, and I was like, oh, that's sweet. And then I realised what it was, because before you needed Fantasy Star Online 2 as well as, like, to actually even access the new Genesis content. Whereas now you can
Oh yeah. Yeah.
choose to just download New Genesis. Even though if
Uh,
you're an achievement person, just know that only about 200 of the 1,000 odd gamer score are to do with New Genesis, and the rest of it's all tied to PSO2.
oh okay.
So it's nice to see the game getting a new lease of life per se, and it's now got like a social hub area where you can like build your own house and all that kind of stuff, which is becoming a bit of a par for a course for MMOs in general
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
mean, it's weird, because I remember back in the day. I mean, I'm going back to like the early 2000s now.
like
You
the
know,
Dreamcast
and the
original.
Dreamcast, the original. I fucking loved that game. It was so good. But 2, so I got excited for 2. I just kind of fell off it. I don't know. It's just missing something for me. I don't know what it is. I think it's just been spoiled too much with Final Fantasy 14, to be honest. Um,
Yeah, I mean, it is very. I will say, like, there are parts of. It's the same with every MMO. There's parts I really like, and there's other parts I dislike, and
hmm
then there's some that have got really cack-handed, terrible menus and navigation systems to get through things.
Yeah,
This is why I'm always amazed with Final Fantasy XIV when I go back to it. It's just so well laid out, so
yeah,
user friendly when it comes to virtually almost everything in the
yeah,
game compared
yeah,
to any other MMO I've ever played.
yes,
Like, and with obviously a lot of the free to play ones and stuff, you know what happens after 20 hours. Oh, your bags are full up. You've got
yeah.
nowhere to store any of your items anymore. You better hand over some dosh if you
That's a
want
bit,
space to
yeah.
store your bags and stuff. And
That's Lost Ark.
it,
Completely.
it's
Yeah,
everything, mate.
yeah,
It's Black Desert. It's Fantasy Star. It's pretty much all of the free to plays. Like Black Desert again has some amazing combat. Like one of probably the most enjoyable combat systems in an MMO. It's just a shame there's so much else of the game that is just mismanaged and handled like really poorly.
yeah,
Because I don't do PvP. it literally excludes you from, I'd probably say, 70+% of the game.
That's mental, isn't it?
Which is bizarre, like absolutely bizarre. And yet the game has multiple PvP modes. It's got a PvP arena. It's got PvP battlefronts that you can go into. It's got PvP sieges that you can do with other groups of players. So why does it need the open world PvP stuff as well? It doesn't, because there's already the PvP modes in there. So yeah, I'd love to sort of cherry pick certain things from certain games, because I think out of most of the MMOs I've played, I think Black Desert does like the life stuff really well.
Oh yeah.
Apart from the fact when you are cooking and you're processing your materials and alchemy and all that kind of stuff you're crafting, it's literally done on a system of pay us more money to do this faster, because it literally takes ages. Like, I will sit there and it will take me to craft my dailies for the day to get it done half an hour.
Okay.
Half an hour.
Because
it's on a kind of roll of the dice every time you want to craft something. So, oh, you weren't successful this time. You might be successful when you get your next tick in like 10 seconds, kind of thing.
Lols.
But yeah, Black Desert, that's having a new update coming out for it, a brand new zone that I won't be able to go to. And I think a new class, because they have their usual Heidel Ball, like where Final Fantasy XIV has its like letters from the producer, they do like the Heidel Ball or the Calpheon Ball, which are areas from the game.
Oh, okay.
Where they talk about new content and stuff. And the one thing I'm still kind of pissed about as well is ever since PS5 and Xbox One were coming out, they told everyone they were working on Series and PS5 versions of the game.
Yeah.
Since then, we've heard nothing. Absolutely nothing. Like, we're now, 2.5 years almost into these new consoles?
Mm-hmm.
And they're still running them on the PS4 and the Xbox One versions.
Yeah. Lols.
Which is just hilarious.
Oh no, mate.
Because I know what they're like. I think their main thing was we want to make sure it's running well on all platforms before. No, fuck them. Fuck them. Just put it out. If it runs better on these platforms, you might get more people to actually play it. And the longer you take doing it, because I've noticed it in game, your player populations are rapidly decreasing.
Yeah.
Because there were people that were waiting for obviously the up-jigged version of the game where it looks nice and also runs at a good speed, and they're sick of waiting and they've all effed off.
Yeah.
And I can pretty much tell this because you put pre-orders in for your goods on the store now. I've been waiting 7 months and I still haven't got the pre-order things I've put in for on the market.
Yeah.
Because people aren't playing it anymore to actually sell those items.
Okay, no.
So it's still got a healthy population, but it's definitely like massively declined. And it has to be that because a lot of times whenever they'd be posting about the new updates for the game, you'd always see in the comments any news on the Series X version or the PS5.
Yeah.
And nothing. And now people don't even hardly even reply to posts they put up because they fucked off to play something else.
Yeah.
They're like, oh look, that other free-to-play MMO's over there. Oh, that's Series X compatible. I'll play that instead then, shall I?
Yeah.
Right. Oh
dear.
Again, probably still the best-looking MMO in my opinion, Black Desert.
Yeah.
When it comes to like the visual aesthetics and it's not necessarily just that; it's the effort they put in on the outfits.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I will say it actually shares something in common with Diablo 5.
Oh yeah.
The outfits cost you around 20 fucking quid.
Oh my god.
Which is a ridiculous amount. Have you like when I saw the cosmetics for Diablo 4, like the ones you can actually buy in the shop? Yeah, they translate to about 20 odd quid.
Oh bloody hell!
Or literally just the cosmetic of how your character looks.
That's insane, man.
Which is like, like I say, £8 to £10 is kind of a sweet spot where you could see a lot of people be going, fuck it, it's £8 or whatever, couple of pints, or so and so. But when you start talking about 20 odd quid, it's like, oh well, do you want to buy a character and outfit in this game, or do you want to maybe like buy a film or I don't know, a new game itself?
Yeah. Oh bloody hell.
So hopefully, anyway, it's funding Crimson Desert, because we haven't heard anything of that for God knows how long, which is their sort of single player version of the game, I guess.
Yeah.
More of a story base. I think it's going to be sort of like going down a bit of a Final Fantasy 16 route
Oh, nice. Okay.
with it, but we shall see.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much me done. Apart from like obviously 14, but I don't think anyone really wants to hear anything about that. I don't think there's been any stuff since like the last raid and all of that, particularly.
Okay, I haven't got much left to talk about actually. So, did a game night on Automobilista 2 with myself, Laffer, and Venom, which is a racing sim on PC. All of three of us were using our racing wheels.
Nice.
I think the guys got a little bit upset. We did 4 races and I won 3 of them. So, but it's just a lot of fun. A good excuse to get the racing wheel out and just have a good laugh and race some cars, because we were playing Gran Turismo for quite a while, for many months, well, almost a year actually, I would say.
Is that still? How is that still going? Is it still getting content and stuff? Because I know a friend who used to play it, and he hasn't played it for a long time, I think now.
Yeah, it's still getting content, new cars and stuff like that. Not played it for a while though, but yeah, still looks gorgeous. But yeah, Automobilista 2 is a really good game. So yeah, I've done nothing else I can really say on it. Man. It's a racing sim. I know most people are like, what the fuck? I can't be arsed with that, listening to this shit. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I do like my sim racing, obviously, because I was playing iRacing for a little while, well, for a month. And then my subscription, I let my subscription run out, because it's like 15 quid a month.
Oh, right, yeah, it's that one. It's the super hardcore.
Yeah, I'm obviously still playing it and enjoying it. And it is the best sim, but it's just so expensive. So I just like, I thought I fobbed it off just for financial reasons. So, yeah. But yeah, a couple of other games just to quickly mention. Been just playing a little bit on the Steam Deck. Disco Elysium, which is really cool little game. I've been playing that on and off for fucking yonks. It's just really funny. Kind of, you're this cop who's a bit of a bad cop, gets drunk and stuff like that. Quite funny. Me and the missus were playing a board game on Steam together called Talisman, which is actually a physical board game in real life.
Yeah, I own that. Yeah, Games Workshop. That was.
Yeah, so we actually played it around a friend's house years ago and really enjoyed it. However, you can't fucking buy the actual physical board game anywhere, because I think it's out of print. So people are selling them for silly money on eBay.
Oh, right. Well, I remember back in the day, like when we had it as like a family.
Yeah.
My old man actually painted the figures for it and stuff, because it was one of the ones that came with like the original lead figures.
Oh, that's so cool.
They've even gone now, haven't they? They've changed them to plastic and stuff.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. So obviously the next best thing is obviously to play it on Steam, because that's the only other way you can play it, right? So we were playing it on the Steam Deck, fun enough, on the sofa, just like passing the deck to each other when it's our turn, which was quite fun. But yeah, I do like the odd board game every now and again, because we do play Eldritch Horror every now and again, which is a really good board game.
What was the game on the 360? I'm pretty sure you and someone else used to play something. It was like a collection of board games at one point that was on the on the 360. Was it
Oh,
like a Hasbro collection or something weird?
maybe I can't remember, mate. Uh, it does evade me. Now there is a board game on Steam, Tabletop Simulator, which is basically like
Oh
any
yeah, I've
board game.
definitely heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, but you need actually people online to play it with, which I haven't got. So, um, yeah, but yeah, that talisman's good. Um, Played a little bit of. Well, I've been playing quite actually probably my most played game over the last couple of days on the Steam Deck has been Fallout New Vegas, and I briefly mentioned it earlier on.
Indeed.
It's pretty not. I forgot how good this game was.
It's my
Um,
favourite Fallout.
just exploring the wasteland, just doing the missions. I've not got any companions yet. I vaguely remember having a dog when I played it on the Xbox 360.
I
So.
also remember like rocking the varmint rifle for fucking ages because I think I like done it right up, stuck a silencer and a
Oh,
scope on it, and I was
nice,
well away.
brilliant. So, yeah, so I've been a bit into Fallout, and the reason for that is me and the missus binge watched a show this week called Silo. It's on
Ah,
Apple.
yes, I've heard of
Yeah,
this
it's on
Apple
Apple
one.
TV. Um, and basically, like, it just reminded me of Fallout without giving away spoilers. So I was just like, oh yeah, I fancy playing Fallout. Um, and obviously, like, I'd rinsed Fallout 3 and 4 and Vegas. I vaguely remember just banging through it on the 360 back in the
Did you
day.
play it in survival mode?
No, I'm not that hardcore, mate.
That's how I played it.
Oh, fuck that shit. So,
Having to sleep on mouldy mattresses in the middle of the fucking desert.
oh,
Because,
fuck
like, if not, I'm going to end up with, like, sleep deprivation and all that kind of good stuff.
that. Nah, fuck that. No.
I made it work for me, though, and to be honest, it's quite funny that that's how I played the game from start to finish.
No, it's pretty
solely
mad.
because there was 100G Chivo for finishing the game in survival mode, and it also ended up being my favourite Fallout of all time.
That's
Even
pretty
with
mad.
that.
Yeah. What else was I going to say? So a couple of our games have been playing quite a bit of Battle Bit Remastered. So it's only on PC. I would love this to come to console. It's basically Battlefield, but in like Minecrafty type graphics, and it works
This is
really
actually
well.
that's actually sold like millions of copies, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's really fun. It is like the old Battlefield games that we played on the old Xbox, back in the day. Big servers, but it's all, you got your classes like your medic and your engineer and all that. But it runs so smooth because there's not really many textures. The maps are really big and it's all destructible. So it just makes for real good fun. And there's vehicles and all that as well. And you're in squads on your team. Voice chat is really, really funny because everyone's in it and talking to each other and doing tactics. And people actually fucking revive you as well, which is mental.
Nice.
It's a lot of fun. It's so good. I'd love to see this come to console. I think it would do really well, to be honest. So yeah, I've been playing that quite a bit. It's a lot of fun. So does that. I dabbled into No Man's Lie just because I've got that itch for space, and I'm going to talk about another space game that I've been playing. Still kind of, I enjoyed the exploration in the ship, but then I was just like, after about an hour, I was bored, so I turned it off. And then I downloaded a game to play on my PC and the deck called X4 Foundations. Now, this isn't on console. Basically, it's like Elite Dangerous, but better.
My friends used to love the X franchise. Like, they used to fucking play them all the time.
Okay, so you know of them then?
Yeah.
So it's
Space
like,
combat sim kind of thing.
yeah,
Like
it's
trading,
like,
smuggling.
yeah. So it's like Elite and Eve Online had a baby. I would say, because you've got this man. It's like, this massive open universe like Eve Online, but it's all single player. and you can do what you want. You could be a pirate, a smuggler, do your day job. Like, I've hardly scratched the surface on this. You can like build your own armies, your own, send other ships off to mine for your companies and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I've literally just been doing a tutorial, and I'm like, wow, this game is awesome. It's 5 years old now, and I've been looking at it for those whole 5 years, like on and off, like, oh, do I want to pick it up or not? And the Steam sale this week has been nuts. So I picked this up for like £8. So definitely bargain. And it runs really well on the Steam Deck, which I'm really impressed with. And obviously, I've been playing on both my Steam Deck and my PC. And yeah, it looks like I'm going to be getting into this a bit more because it's just scratching that itch for me until Starfield comes out. So yeah, it's really, really cool. So there's that. And what else? There was so I went back and played a little bit of Spec Ops: The Line
Wow.
because I never played it back in the day. So
What?
no, I know. So I'm playing this on the Steam Deck, and because it's really fucking old, it runs really well. So I'm really enjoying it. Actually, it's a lot of fun. So just kind of dipping into that. Loving the banter between the army guys and all that. So that's good. And the last game that I've been playing is Legend of Heroes: Trails in the Sky.
Oh, you started it, have you?
Yeah, I am 2.5 hours in now, and I'm really enjoying it. Now, this is really old. I think it came out in around 2005 initially.
Is it?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
so.
Trolls of not Legend of Heroes. Trolls of Cold Steel.
No,
Is that a later series? Is
yeah,
it
it's the
then?
latest series. So
Right.
this was originally on the PSP, I think, or at least on the Vita. Um, Let me just double check. 2004 it come out. It was on the PSP, the PS3, and the Vita.
Right.
So it is old, really old. However, I've been looking at the Trails series of games for quite a while because I love my RPGs, obviously my JRPGs, and obviously a new one just come out, which you've actually picked up, Darren, haven't you?
Yeah, I have it. Yeah, Trolls into Reverie, which is
Yeah,
kind of like, from what I've been told, it's like a mishmash that collides all the stories into like a new kind of story, and it's got like fun bits and mini games and all that kind of stuff with it as well.
excellent. So the reason I've gone with this one is because I've been because I did quite a lot of research online, and everywhere was saying you need to start from the beginning on these games because the story carries on. It's not like Final Fantasy, which is a separate story per game. It's literally the story carries on to the next game to the next game. So it says like you can play the later games, but you miss out on a lot of the backstory of the characters and a lot of like bits and pieces. So I thought, if I'm going to get into this series, I'm going to start from the beginning. So I'm enjoying it. The combat is the old school kind of turn based on like a little grid system, which is quite cool.
Uh,
Um, but it's hard. It's fucking hard, mate. Like I've already died a few times, so you got to like be really careful because it's proper old school where even like out of battle you need to heal up your characters. Like in
oh yeah,
modern
yeah.
games, you have a battle, then all of a sudden you've got your full health again. It's not like this. It's old school, so you need to make sure you've either got enough health stuff or you go back and rest at an inn or whatever. So it's like proper old school. So I'm enjoying it though. So, but we'll see. I mean, it's just got so many games on the go, mate. I just don't know how many of these I'm actually going to see through to the end. Probably none of them, to be honest. So
Have you tried the game I told you about yesterday?
no, so I've installed it. Um,
I sold another copy of it today to a guy at work who took
uh,
one look at it and went, "I'm fucking having that."
yeah, it's called Halls of Torment, and it is like £3. Yeah, £3 43, and it looks
Break the
like
bank.
yeah. What's that one that we were playing on Xbox? It's just gone from my mind.
It's basically a Vampire Survivors type of game
Yeah,
with a
Vampire
very
Survivors killer.
much Diablo 2 aesthetic to it. So it's sort of like a sort of 3D isometric view,
Yeah.
and it plays more like a twin stick shooter. So you use one stick to move and the other stick to aim your attacks.
Mm-hmm.
You battle against waves of enemies, pick up experience points, level up, choose which stats you want to level up. You can
Yeah.
defeat bosses to pick up gear, which you can ship out later in the game to keep for future runs. You earn gold as you play it, which you can then use to boost up certain abilities and stats. The actual boss fights you have against the enemies in the game, the bosses actually have attack patterns and AoEs and stuff you have to dodge.
Brilliant.
So it's really a lot more hands-on than like your Vampire Survivors game. I mean, it's still in early access,
Yeah.
but from what I saw of it when I saw someone playing it, I was just like, I really like the look. I like the music, and it's really cool as well. And I just love that addictive, fun pick up and play kind of gameplay
Yeah.
where you can just
Uh,
have a run, and then
I'm
you
gonna
sort of,
give it a go now. I've only got one character.
yeah, you only start with the main character,
Yeah.
and at the start it actually shows you a couple of things on the map. So top right you'll have like what looks like a glove, which is your magnet. So that will draw every dropped bit of XP and gold that you haven't picked up on the map to your character.
Yeah.
And the little sheet down the bottom, which looks like a little golden scroll, that's like your magic ability. So you
Right.
can choose magic abilities, but apparently every character and every stage has set missions to do,
All
and when
right.
you complete those missions you unlock either gold or upgrades. It's
Okay.
because it's a roguelike in that sense.
Yeah.
The
You can
more
play
you
with
play it, the
mouse or
better.
controller as well.
Yeah, the better you get. And another game I will say, because when I sold it to my friend, he was like, "Oh, I was going to play another game this afternoon, which I picked up the other day." Um, instead. So he still picked up Halls of Torment because he was like, I've got to get it for that price. And he played a couple of games of it and was like, this is great. I'm going to get right into this. But then he showed me another game called Dave the Diver.
Yeah, me and Sly have been talking about this a little bit. I've not picked up
Looks
yet though.
really good, to be honest. See,
Mm,
like he just sort of said, like, yeah, you're this big old boy who goes diving, and you
yeah.
go down and sort of get fish and collect stuff and everything, and then in the evening you run like a sushi bar, and
That's
like you
funny.
manage the sushi bar. And he said like there's all these, like he showed me it. There's like this pixel art because the whole thing's done in like very stylized pixel art, like this sort
Yeah.
of anime style scene of like the chef like pulling his sword out to cut up all the fish.
Yeah.
All done really. It looks really well done. That's a game that I would say keep an eye on that. Hopefully coming to consoles because I think there's rumours it's coming to Switch.
Brilliant.
But he was sort of saying, yeah, the more you play it, the more you build up money, and then using your money, you can buy like bigger oxygen tanks, which allow you to go further down into the ocean to explore more, to get more different fish. Like you can upgrade your harpoon gun and all this other bits and bobs and stuff. So
Brilliant.
there seemed to be a lot to it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, I've seen like it's got so many good reviews on Steam. Um, yeah,
But
I'll
yeah,
probably
that
end up
that
picking up
one's
at
like
some
about
point.
£15, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, yeah, perfect little deck game that I think.
Uh,
But yeah, that's literally all I've been playing. Yeah, this Halls of Torment. Yeah, it's going to get quite addictive. I think it's that auto attack style. It's
yeah, you make sure you switch the auto attack on because I don't think it's on by
oh,
default.
it is on. It is on.
Oh, it is on, is it? Oh, fair
Yeah,
enough.
yeah, it's quite cool. Yeah,
Yeah, it was just when I saw the bosses and stuff, I was like, oh, that's different. They actually have patterns that you have to dodge. And when I was watching my mate play at work, the way he was managing to dodge through some of these AoEs and scrape through, because he's still like really early level, so he hasn't really got any gear or anything.
yeah.
And I was
Was
like,
your
how
mate
do
playing
you
it
do
on the
that? And he's like,
Steam
I
Deck
don't
then?
know.
Was he
I don't
or?
know. No, he's just got like a little laptop at work. He just
Oh,
takes
brilliant.
in to
Yeah.
play stuff with like a wired Xbox controller from
Oh,
back in the
brilliant.
day. So I
Nice.
said to him, "Does it work well on the controller?" And he said, "Yes." And I was like, "Good, because that means that there's a higher chance of it actually getting a port at some
Yeah.
point."
Yeah. Definitely. Excellent.
Hmm.
I
So yeah,
haven't.
if you've got a PC, keep an eye out for those two. I'd say they both
Yeah,
look
that
really
Dave the
cool.
Diver. I've had my on for a little while, short while anyway, but spent too much money the last couple of weeks, mate. So it's kind of on the back burner. So,
Because I usually get people give me like say 15, 20 quid a year of credit, which is what I will sometimes use like on the thing to like that's what I'll use to get like the odd little downloadable.
yeah,
That's why I was like technically I didn't pay for it.
yeah,
Just someone's like, "Oh, you got Vampire Survivors? I thought you didn't buy digital," and I was like, "I didn't actually buy it. Someone else technically bought it for me."
brilliant. Well, it's true. Fantastic. Um, I haven't seen. I looked online for news, but I didn't see any news this week, Darren.
There hasn't really been a great deal. I mean, the most I saw of something was they had a big thing on like Baldur's Gate 3,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the
and they
big
were all talking
thing.
about how you can have sex with a bear,
Yeah, it's a bit
and
fucking.
it's like, all right, so attractive women in video games is bad, but yeah, bestiality is good, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
Right, I get
ridiculous,
you.
isn't it? Yeah. I mean, the game looks amazing. It looks really, really good. I'll probably end up getting it, to be honest. I mean, it's
Yeah,
been out
at
in
the
early
end of the
access
day, it
for
might
out.
just be one of those. Yeah, like it might just be one of those options where it's like, oh, if people want to do that, they can. Normal
Yeah,
people generally won't, but it's there for the freaks that do want to do that
yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah.
So
It's
I'm
not
hoping
actually.
it's one of those games
Yeah,
where it just gives everyone options for
I think
stuff,
it's.
but it's not shoved in there for the
Yeah,
sake of
I think it
everyone.
was more for the shock factor because there's a character who can transform into animals. That's what it.
I don't know. It's just bizarre.
Yeah,
But yeah, it looks interesting. I mean, the game's technically been out on PC for what 2, 3 years now in
yeah. In
early
early
access.
access, yeah, like they release like an act at a time or something. So I've just been waiting until it's actually out. But the problem with it is I'm used to getting games quite cheap on PC, but it's not been on sale. Can't get it on a CD key site. So it's like 50 quid for a
All right.
PC game. That's expensive. So
Mm. So that could be another one for everyone to get who likes their RPGs and stuff to get stuck into.
yeah, definitely.
Like your Starfield and that, if you want more of a swords and sorcery kind of game.
Yeah, because that's coming out on all platforms in around September time, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's coming to PC August
Yeah,
and then console like September,
yeah,
or it might be coming to Windows in August and then PlayStation in September or something. I don't know entirely too much. I just
yeah.
remember seeing stuff from it like years ago, and then when it was showcased at like the Summer Game Fest stuff this year or whatever, I was like, oh yeah, that's a game that
They're saying
still
it's got
hasn't
like
come
over
out yet.
200 hours of cutscenes or something ridiculous.
Yeah, but again, are they cutscenes or are they just characters talking like they used to in text
Yeah,
bubbles and stuff back in the day?
yeah.
But if that is like actually properly full on cutscenes, then it's going to be a large game
Yeah,
when it comes to file size.
yeah. Well, they usually are quite long, those games, anyway, aren't they?
I think I played Baldur's Gate 2, but that was like years ago.
Yeah, it's been a long time because I did a remaster of two as well. Yeah,
Nice. But yeah, it's a top down grid based strategic RPG, isn't it? It's not a
yeah.
hack and slash.
No, I'm just fighting one of these crazy bosses on this halls of thingy. Yeah, it's pretty mad actually. It's quite good because you have to like figure out his patterns. It's quite cool.
whilst dodging all the other filth like encircling around you and stuff as
Yeah,
well. Oh, and the bosses aren't too averse to using like human shields and stuff either. Technically, so it'll sit itself nicely in amongst all the filth. So you've got to smash
yeah,
through all that to get to
yeah.
them and stuff.
Sounds about right. It's good. It's good. It's good fun though.
And for the price it charged, like, they could easily have charged something like tenner for that.
Yeah, yeah. They could have done.
So it's nice that obviously someone sort of hit it big with that sort of genre that they sort of slightly came up with is amalgamation of other things, and other people are now like, how can we tweak this? How can we add to this?
Yeah.
How can we do other stuff? Because I think there's about 5 characters. I know one of the characters you unlock has a flamethrower.
Oh, okay. That's pretty
Completely bizarre, but hey ho.
awesome, mate. My first run is lasting ages.
Oh, that's good. Means you're going to get more gold at the end of it, which you can then spend on a couple of passives like pick up range and all that sort of stuff, which is what you probably want first.
Yeah,
So you can level a bit quicker and easier.
it's a cool little game.
But yeah, were there any questions or anything?
No, it's nothing, mate. To be honest, it's just
Fair enough.
you know, we've done well, mate. An hour and a half, just the two of us.
Wow, just chatting bullshit.
Yeah. So probably call it a night there, mate. I mean, I'm fucking roasting, so
Yeah, sounds like a plan. I'm going to go out and have a ciggy and put the kettle on or something.
yeah, nice. I'll end up just. I think the missus is playing Sea of Thieves tonight, actually. So I don't know what I'll do.
Fair enough.
Maybe end up playing COD or something. I know I'll play this Halls of Torment all night long.
Yeah, just be like, just one more game, and then all of a sudden
Yeah,
it's like, it's 1 a.m., mate.
yeah. I'll end up
That's something I was actually going to ask you. The battery life. What's the battery life like on it?
It's shit. I forgot to mention. I should have mentioned it. Oh, I've unlocked an archer now. Nice.
Sweet. Oh, she didn't last much longer then.
No, I kind of like was like, oh fucking no, because I thought we were about to end, so I was just like, right, I'm gonna
Oh, right,
just
fair enough.
not really try. Yeah, the battery life is rubbish.
Oh,
So I
is it
mean,
OLED? It's not OLED, is it?
I mean, it's a good screen. I don't know. I don't think it's OLED. It depends on the game you're playing, to be honest. So if you're playing, I don't know, that Halls of Torment, it'll probably last about 4 hours.
Mm.
But if you're playing something like, I don't know, Final Fantasy 14 or like a more modern game, you'll be lucky to get an hour, I think. Yeah. So
Always make sure you got a charge cable handy then
yes, yes,
if you're
100%.
actually taking it around and about.
Yeah. I mean, you can make it last longer by capping the FPS down to 30 and lowering the screen brightness, but why the fuck would you want to do that? So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, but it's still a great piece of kit, mate. You know, I just think
Oh yeah, definitely for what it is in
if
your
you're in,
hand.
if you're in the car, you can have it plugged into the charger in your car. You know, if you're a passenger, just for public transport, it'd be a bit shit. For a plane, it would be okay because you've got plugs under your seats on international flights. So, but
I mean, it was like
yeah,
similar things. I mean, we'll talk about it when we finally do a Nintendo handheld thing, but there's been a few times in my life where I've played stuff on a handheld and been like, bloody hell, this is incredible that this is actually in my palm.
yeah,
And it's virtually almost identical to what I used to play on a television set.
yeah. However, battery banks are really good these days. You can get some really good ones that are that would easily keep the Steam Deck powered for quite a long time anyway. So, yeah, it's still decent, mate. All good.
Nice. Right, might as well wrap it on up then, because
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Yeah, so it's
go
been
and do something.
emotional. Really enjoyed it. So thank you, Darren.
No worries.
So from myself and Darren, it's been awesome, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.